How I teach the concept of warm and cool colors to my first graders. First, we talk about what we already know. Now, do you remember when we learned about the color wheel? Yes, now how many colors are in the color wheel? Let's see, we talk about that, and I tell them that the color wheel is one way that we can talk about colors, but there are other ways that we can talk and think about colors as well. And one of those is dividing colors into warm and cool. So then we review this picture and which colors are there on the warm side and which colors are on the cool side. Then I show a couple videos. I almost always show the Creativity Express. It's a great music video. The bear singing about the cool colors is nice and slow, and the penguin singing about the warm colors is very hot and exciting, and that really brings out the differences between the warm and the cool colors. Afterwards, we review. Now, was the bear singing about warm or cool colors? And was the penguin singing about warm or cool colors? And can you tell me what those colors are? Luckily, this video ends with a nice color wheel, so I always pause it there and we can actually point to the color wheel and talk about those colors. The Art Quest video is kind of dated and corny, but it's still effective for teaching the concept. It's a nice short video. Mrs. Bunn's Warm and Cool, it's a little more detailed, it's a little slower, a little longer, but it is also a real useful tool. You may have other videos you like as well. After the videos, we watch a PowerPoint, and I say, okay, now we're going to take a test. And let's see if you can tell which ones are the warm colors and the cool colors. So we take a look at this, we talk about what the warm colors are and what are different things colored with warm colors. What about the cool colors? Take a moment to talk about this. A lot of participation at this point. And then we go through the slides. I have my students sitting at different tables, so I usually call on one table at a time to decide as a group. Is this cat a warm color or a cool color? And then I'll ask about the eyes. Then I move on to the next table. What about this motorcycle? Is the motorcycle a warm color or a cool color? Pink cake, a green frog, a blue house. Any number of pictures will do. Very easy to find on the internet. Red apples, blue bubbles. Now, this is a great discussion. So I'll say, is this girl a warm color or a cool color? Then we take a little break and everybody looks at their hands. All people are a warm color. And then we can talk about how our skin is all different colors, but all people colors are warm colors. What about our hair? Unless you've got dyed hair, all of our hair is a warm color. Now, some people have one part of their body that might be a cool color. Does anyone in here have cool color eyes? Oh, and then we all look around and we look at each other's eyes. Now, my eyes are brown. So, I can say, I've got warm eyes. Does anyone else have warm eyes like me? And everybody looks at, and so it's a great moment of identification. We all have warm skin. We all have warm hair. Who's got cool eyes? Next, we sort the students by t-shirt color. Now, this works with some classes better than others. I've had some great classes that it's very easy to have everyone participate and move around the room, and some classes where they're just too wound up and we can't do it. So basically, I have everyone take a look at whatever shirt that they are wearing, and which of course can get confusing if they're wearing a jacket on top or a hoodie or something like that. But this is especially great. I worked at one school that had yellow and blue shirts. So some kids will be in yellow and some will be blue. That makes it really easy. So it really depends on your dress code. But I will say, if you are wearing a cool colored shirt, I want you to stand up or go to this corner or whatever. If you're wearing a warm color shirt, and so I'll let them sort themselves out and figure that out, and they'll correct each other. And if anyone is wearing black, white, or gray, I'll say, no, 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 you sit down. And they feel left out. Then we talk about the neutrals. And anyone who is wearing a gray or a white or a black, I'll have them come up. Now, what do you think about Cindy? Cindy's wearing a black shirt. Do you think she should be with warm or cool? And everybody will call out, oh, I think this, this. Or what about the white? What about Billy in the white shirt? Is that warm or cool? Well, these are neutral colors. Black, white, and gray can go with the cool colors or the warm colors. They can go wherever they want. So then the kids who felt left out because they weren't warm or cool, then they think they're cool because they get to go to either side. Okay, great. Everybody go sit back down. Purple question, sometimes I include with first graders, sometimes I wait till second grade. It really depends on how advanced they are. Several of the videos we watched included purple with the cool colors. And if you want to go with that for first grade, that is completely fine. Sometimes my kids are curious and, they want a little more. So if they ask the purple question, or if I think they're ready, I will get out my color wheel, which I have a big color wheel hanging on the wall, and I'll say, okay, what about purple? And some people will say warm, and some people will say cool. Then I'll say, well, remember from our color wheel, how do you make purple? Blue. Now, is blue a warm or a cool? Oh, it's a cool color. Well, what about red? Well, that's a warm color. So purple is halfway between. And they're like, oh, so it can be either. So it depends. Is it a cool purple? It has more blue, or a warm purple that has more red. And here you can't really see it so much, but on my color wheel, it's very easy for me to point to the warmer purple and the cooler purple. And sometimes I even have people in the class that are wearing, two different, shades that I can point out. Or sometimes I will hold up two different pieces of construction paper, and when they see them side by side, the more advanced kids can make that determination. So I say, so when you are making art, you are the artist. So you need to decide, do you think it's a warm purple or a cool purple? I really put it on them because it's, impossible to draw that dividing line. I really put it on them to, well, I'm going to let you decide what you think it is. And if you're not sure, talk to your friends around you. Remember that, this is just a way of thinking and talking about colors. Which brings us into our next activity, when we sort the supplies. Now, whatever supplies you are going to use for your eventual project, I put out the supplies, and on each table I have, a little bucket or bin that says warm, cool, and neutral. And I let them work in small groups, and they just take a few minutes. And depending on how much time you want to spend, you can have a bigger bucket or a smaller bucket, and have them sort the colors into warm, cool, and neutral. They're really good at self-correcting. There'll be some kids at the table that don't get it, but because they're working in a group, other people say, no, that's not it. Or they'll say, oh, what is it? They'll ask you. And then I come around table to table to say, well, I'm not sure. I see this orange is over here in the cool bucket. Do you think orange should be? Oh, that's right. Orange should be in the warm bucket. And so everybody gets to have their hands on and participate and get that all sorted out. Which leads us right into our next activity. I put this slide back up. I also have a number of laminated copies of this that I put on the tables so they can check for their reference. Again, this really depends on the maturity level of your students. I have had classes that this worksheet would have been too babyish, for my first grade students. They're ready to move beyond this. I have had first grade students that they can just barely manage this. But basically, this is just a simple coloring sheet to color it in with the warm and the cool colors that they have already separated. And it's very easy to make. I just, found clip art pictures for this. Alternately, or also, I have this coloring page, again, very easy to make, where they can take those colors and make their own cheat sheet with the warm colors and the cool colors. This year and last year, this was as far as we got. This actually took us 2 whole classes to do. However, in past years at other schools, I have had much more advanced students, and what we have done all of that in the first class, minus the coloring. We would get to the materials sorting, and that would be the end of it. But in the next class, we would do this really great activity, the warm and cool word challenge. So what I would do beforehand is I have a long list. This is just a tiny little section of it, of nouns, which are divided into warm and cool. And I've cut them into little slips of paper, which I then hand out along with index cards. And, it's sort of a random pull that student to student, either I hand them to them or they pull out a card that says a warm something or a cool something, and their challenge is to draw that thing. And this is immensely popular, especially with the higher students, the more advanced students, because of course it involves reading. Sometimes I have to, I'm giving you a warm tiger. Can you draw a warm tiger? And sometimes they can read it themselves. And then they take the card and they glue it down and they draw, the warm tiger or the cool balloon or the cool shark, and they just get going just as fast as they can. Sometimes they'll bring me a red shark and I'll say, well, this is a cool shark. Is red a cool color? Or, oh, no, I know. Okay, I'm going to go back and do it again. And they will work through maybe 6 or 7 of these in a class. So definitely have a nice big stack of these. And then when you run out, just say, okay, now use your own ideas, draw whatever you want. So that's how I teach warm and cool to my first graders. In the second grade, we move on to a more complicated project where we actually combine warm colors with geometric shapes and cool colors with organic shapes. But no matter what warm and cool project you're working on for first grade, these activities can give you a good start. I'm Heidi Howe. I'm an elementary art teacher, and I will be posting my entire curriculum online in the next, 18 months to 2 years. So like and subscribe, and I'll tell you everything I know.